I'm a man of modest wants, and I mean modest. Things that I like in my life, the occasional action figure, collectible, things like that. Usually I have about between 20 and 40 bucks a month that I can spend on those things. Everything else, literally everything else, is necessity. Rent, electricity, food, and food, keeping my fridge stocked, is one of the biggest hurdles that my sis and I face these days. I've talked about as much on my Facebook account. Every time I'm afflicted with this problem, and it's usually every month. And a couple of my friends and acquaintances have actually given me a helping hand, given my sis and I a helping hand to keep our fridge stocked on a few occasions, over 2018, last year, as of the time of this recording. And we have just been utmost grateful for that aid, for that, generosity. And unfortunately, because it is a reoccurring issue with both of us, who we both have health problems, disabilities, and things of that nature, there's only so much we can actually do to sort of provide for ourselves. And, especially in this current socio-political climate with the asinine dictator wannabe in the White House who is, his shutdown as of the time of this recording is going to be impacting SNAP benefits or food stamp benefits for 20 million families in the U.S. As of next month, February, the funds that people would be receiving in February for the following month, March, are in jeopardy, are hanging in the balance. And this is one of the things that gets us by, apart from food pantries and things of that nature. And it's just been really frustrating because this particular month my sis had to be rushed to the hospital and had a surgical procedure done on her because she had, began with a stomach infection over the holidays, and it abscessed and it became really swollen and infected and everything, and it was so deep rooted internally, she had to have surgery in order to get the sick fluids out of it. And so now a big chunk of skin on her stomach is missing. There's a big hole there, and she has to have home health care come in and repack it and everything like that. We can just barely afford, if we can afford at all, her medications, from the antibiotics to the painkillers, things of that nature, because she is diabetic, insulin, and things of that nature. And so all of the little bit of money that we have, that we've scrounged up and been able to save, which is not very much every month. In fact, by the end of every month, we have no money. Usually, between the last 2 weeks of the month, we're dead broke. And we have to rely on, food pantries and things of that nature, because our food stamp benefits last about 2 weeks if we're lucky. And, that's primarily because all of the cash that we've had has gone to medical things, and the last few months I really haven't gotten any extravagances, neither my sis or myself. And it's just it's such a frustration, and especially as an aspiring video maker, YouTuber kind of thing. I don't, I never planned for my YouTube video making to become a career or anything like that, or a job, but I had been hoping over the last 5 or 6 months to make it a little more lucrative, because in my tenure, in my going on 9 years of doing this, I've had time and time again people requesting, open a Patreon. We'd like to support you. We'd like to throw help your way. And some people have done that. The irony being, none of the people who have asked me in my tenure are any of the ones who had actually done it. It's all newer people and people I have had friendships and acquaintance with through Facebook and things like that, but only in the last couple of years, not the people who had initially asked and such like that. And so it's, as I say, I've been utmost grateful for their generosity and their kindness in helping my sister and I to get through, and actually, going that step beyond and supporting me, and because they like my content, they like me, whatever it is. And it's just been genuinely, something we've been grateful for. But at the same time, the other leg drops, and I see channels that have just a groundswell of financial support. People who have Patreons. I don't have a Patreon. I have a PayPal contribution account where people can, as a direct line to me, support me and support my efforts and video making and things like that. I thought long and hard. I was very much, reserved about ever doing that. It was something I didn't really want to do. And it's now something that became, because of the circumstances of our lives, it became a necessity. And so when I see these other channels, I've done a lot of Doctor Who videos recently on my main channel, and there is a Doctor Who channel who, he constantly ends his videos whenever he brings up his Patreon account saying, we literally have to keep the lights on through your support. We're able to do that through your support, the viewers' support. And it's like, I wish I had that, because if I did, if there was something solidly, supportive in nature on a monthly basis or whatever like that, every little bit would count. And chances are I would have less struggles. I would have less worries about where am I going to get my next meal? How am I going to keep my fridge full? How am I going to get my sister's medication? And that is something that has been a travesty over especially this last couple of weeks, where my sis had been in the hospital, had this surgery. She just recently came home. I've been, sort of complaining about these issues over on my Facebook account, as I have done ad nauseum, ad infinitum. And it seems to have, sort of, deadened everyone's responses to the point where I see less and less people coming and well-wishing. I see less and less people even acknowledging those posts, and even lesser, I haven't been online. I haven't been on Facebook for like 2 days, because it's just like, I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall, and it's so sad and sickening and frustrated to be starving, to be miserable, see other people, making posts about how great they have it. They went out to the movies, they went to this restaurant, they ate this food, they did that and this, that, and the other thing. And it's so disheartening that in that 2 days, at least to my awareness, nobody has even given one single shit that I haven't been around. It used to be, if I disappeared for a day, I'd get a message, hey, Johnny, you okay? You doing all right? You and your sister all right? It's been 2 days, going on 3 days, 2.5 days as of the time of this recording, and nada. Zero, zilch, nada. Nobody has even given a care or concern. And I know, I look at my friends list, and I can probably count out maybe 4 to 6 people who actually would give a shit, and do, for the most part, give a shit, and have asked after us before. But I mean, it's just, it's becoming less and less and less. And just, it's not jealousy, but like, in a sense it both is and isn't, in the sense that, I am envious of these channels who have this financial support, who can, air quotes, keep the lights on, keep their fridges filled, and things of that nature. And people are bending over backwards to give, support to them. And I don't know what I have to do to earn that kind of, support, that kind of, whatever you want to call it, friendship, support, all that kind of stuff. I mean, again, it's something where people were very vocal in saying they would like to support my efforts, and would I consider opening a Patreon? And at the time I said, I didn't really want to do that. This isn't supposed to be a career. It's not supposed to be, a money-making scheme or scam or anything like that. And after many years of long, hard consideration, and just the circumstances of my life requiring me to make that an option, to consider that as an option, it has been something that, has been, again, a benefit to my sis and I a few times over, from friends, who some want to remain anonymous, others just, don't seem to mind either way. And I thank them, and I'm, utmost grateful to them and everything like that. But again, none of the people who have shown that support are any of the ones who asked originally and made me really start thinking about doing this to begin with. And then it's just like, when there's just dead air, when there's silence, when it feels like you're already feeling like you're between a rock and a hard place, because your parents are dead, your grandparents are dead, you have no surviving family, you have to do this adulting thing by yourself, you have to figure things out by yourself, you have to completely always, there's no one to turn to, there's no one for guidance. And I'm constantly outpouring my heart and my frustrations and my emotions and my thoughts online for a lack of having anywhere else to turn. And when I'm met with just my face smacking against a wall, and seeing these other channels that do the same thing I do, that they're not really doing anything uber entertainment oriented or anything like that. They do the same kind of thing I do, and yet they have an outpouring of support, financially or otherwise. It's frustrating, because I know what an incredible help that has been on the few occasions where somebody has stepped up along those lines, and how big of a help it could be, especially right now, especially with, currently, because of the situation my sis and I are in. We have nothing, and we don't know where we're gonna go next. We don't know how we're gonna get through. And again, with like the food stamp thing, the SNAP thing, because of our goddamned president and his border wall, fuckery, 20 million families in the U.S., my sis and I included, are potentially going to find ourselves starving. God forbid it affects Social Security, disability, and those kinds of things, where you're going to be dealing with not only disabled people like us, but elderly and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, when you hear these chicken little calls, these cries to the heavens of, there's going to be a new civil war and all this kind of stuff, it's almost easy to believe, because there's going to be a lot of people suffering, and it's because of one orange schmuck who can't get over his racist hate of Mexicans. And even that, if you look at that analytically, it's all bullshit anyway. It's all a fucking schmooze. I don't know why I'm ranting here. I don't know why I'm saying this here. All I know is I haven't been asked after in the past few days when I haven't been online. The last thing I said was how bad my sis and I are off right now because of her surgery and being in the hospital, and she's home now. We can't afford her medication. We have barely any food in the fridge, no money, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I had hoped that this opening of a PayPal contribution thing would be beneficial and would help, and it has been. But when you have hardly any money to begin with, you can't even comprehend, unless you are poor, how quickly that money goes on necessities, and what is basically what is a necessity. You don't think of light bulbs and a fan or things to keep the AC running and all this kind of stuff, and like hygiene products, and I mean, just everything costs money, and we're always trying to pinch pennies and keep things as streamlined as possible, and even then the funds that we do get are gone so quickly, and that's even without extravagances. And it's just, I just hoped, and I still hold out hope that there will be a helping hand coming, and it'll be like those other channels, those other people who have supporters, and it's just, it seems fleeting, and it seems nonsensical, and it seems like a waste of time sometimes, especially when you disappear and nobody even notices, nobody even bats an eye. What is it all for? At that point, is there even a reason? Is there a purpose to keep going? I don't know.